Sorry. It's been almost 4 years. I am recording episode 8 of the Vincents Lane Podcast, and I have almost 4 years of my life that I have to catch up on, and in terms of explaining to you guys what's been going on, where I've been, where my priorities, what my priorities have been, and why I haven't uploaded in almost 4 years. So once again, I do have 4 years of my life that I haven't explained or talked to you guys about. So please forgive me if I don't go super in detail on some stuff because it has been forever. And I haven't talked to a camera in so long. I haven't done a podcast in so long. So I have a lot of notes that I wrote down a little bit before I started this recording. Some little snippets of some important parts of my life these past couple years, and I want to start from the sort of beginning. The first thing I wrote down here was why I started the podcast in the first place. So going back to COVID year, which was 2020, I started this podcast basically because everyone, we were stuck inside all day, and everything was basically shut down around the world, and what better thing to do than start a podcast? So me and my friend Tristan, we decided to team up and start this little podcast together, talking about basic stuff going on in the world, going on in our life, funny topics, and eventually we started interviewing some bigger name people such as, Midwest and Yizo and Waze. And that was just kind of a little passion project that I had, and I wanted to see, how far I could take it. Mind you guys, this wasn't 2020, so we really had no other options of stuff to do rather than stuff that was inside. And even around this time, there was a big boom of TikTok being a pretty big trend at the time. Live streaming was a big thing at the time, and even podcasts were a big thing at the time. And I wanted to kind of hop on the bandwagon at that time. So that was fun while it lasted. We made 7 episodes spanning about maybe half a year. It didn't really gain a lot of traction. Our most viral was the one, of course, of Midwest. He's pretty big right now. Shout out Midwest if you're watching this. Probably not, because he's really big, and I'm still pretty much where I started with like 40 subs. I have one screen here with my podcast, the YouTube channel on, and I have one screen on my left side with the actual recording that I'm recording right now. So if you see me kind of looking back and forth, that's what it's about. So it spanned about maybe half a year to a year-ish. We kind of gained a little bit of a following. Not really. We didn't really interview anyone that big, or we didn't record this podcast long enough for it to actually gain any traction. And the funny thing is that whenever you look up why most podcasts fail, it's usually because they stop after the 6th or 7th episode, and we stopped exactly at the 7th episode, which I thought was funny, because I was like, oh, we're not going to stop after 7 episodes, we'll actually make this a big thing. But as I'll explain in a little bit, it's really not that easy just to keep going on a weekly basis. What else happened? I mean, that was basically it. It was unfortunately a pretty short run podcast, but it was fun. It felt good gaining some traction at the time. Seeing some people comment on our videos saying that they loved our stuff, and it was cool talking to some artists and rappers and producers that I would have never dreamed of talking to in the first place. That I was a big fan of, like Waze. I was a big fan of, and then Midwest was honestly crazy to me because at the time, whenever we interviewed him, he had maybe 2,000-3,000 followers on Instagram, and now he is completely blown up. He's on like a Lyrical Lemonade. He's done stuff with Yeet and Babytron, and I'm honestly super happy for him. Super happy for him. Hopefully one day, probably not anytime soon, I might do a part 2 interview with Midwest. So be on the lookout for that. At the time, I was whenever we first started this podcast, I was a sophomore in high school going into my junior year. So I was around 15, 16 years old. I was working at a pool as a lifeguard with Tristan and a lot of my other friends, my brother. It was a good summer. It was really, really fun. Um, I was on the swim team still, and that was basically my life. I would focus on this podcast for a pretty good amount of time. I would go to work. We would stay up until four in the morning playing Roblox and Minecraft and being on Discord, and it was a fun time. After that, kind of I have on the note here. It says the downfall and the end of COVID, which is kind of ironic. So this podcast basically had an abrupt ending right when my junior year of high school ended, and that's whenever the COVID restrictions got lifted up, and we could basically go back to a somewhat normal life. I was doing online school because I really didn't want to go back to school. I don't want to get COVID. I don't want to die at the time. So this podcast ended right when I got into my junior year of high school. I basically had no priority. It basically wasn't a priority in my life. I was focused more on having an actual social life and hanging out with friends again and getting somewhat, I guess, not getting good grades in school, passing school. And I didn't have any priority or really any focus on this podcast. It didn't work out in the first 7 episodes or 8 episodes. And I was like, you know what, if it didn't work out then, it's not really a huge priority. And I don't really see a big future in that. So that's kind of why we stopped in the first place. Junior year of high school was fun for me. It was online. I was more focused on making dumb little skits on my main YouTube channel than... sorry if you guys hear that. My sister is in the other room with the blow dryer and it's kind of annoying. Sorry. It's 11:30 at night. I don't know why she's still awake. But anyways, I was more focused on just living a normal life, hanging out with my friends, doing somewhat okay in school, and this podcast kind of just fell in the back of my mind. I never thought about it basically ever again. The whole entire year. It was cool. It was probably one of the most forgettable years for me because once again I was online like half of the other world was when they went back to school. I don't really have much to talk about for this time in my life. I was swimming still pretty regularly, but I was around this time too. I think I was around 16 this time. I started to fall out of love with the sport of swimming itself, and I didn't really want to continue swimming, but I just I couldn't just be a quitter and not start what I finished. So I kept swimming. It wasn't a huge deal to me. I didn't really care about it that much. I just did it just because I didn't want to quit and be a quitter. After my junior year of high school, that summer, I was in my first serious relationship. I'm not going to talk about this too much because it's pretty personal stuff, and it's pretty stuff I don't really want to put out there that much. I had my first serious relationship going into my senior year of high school that whole summer. I'm going to talk about this whole summer more, but I'm just going over little bits and pieces. At the time I was working working illegally at an Asian cuisine restaurant with my friends. I was 16 at the time, or 16 or 17 at the time. The reason why it was illegal is because I was serving alcohol and I was underage. I'm not going to say, of course, what the restaurant was called, but I just thought it was funny that me, one of my good friends, and then some other people from the nearby area that I knew from school and just basically from school and just from knowing them growing up, we worked at this Asian cuisine restaurant for that whole summer just to have some summer jobs, or just to have a summer job to make up some bread, some money throughout that time, that 2-month period. It wasn't really that fun, to be honest. I'm not really a big fan of dealing with people's BS and having like an attitude towards me all the time. Shout out to servers out there that are still doing this for a living, because I only did it for about a month and a half and I was ready to be done. I quit at like the end of the summer. That was my second job at the time. So first I was a lifeguard, and then I had this job illegally as a server, which is kind of funny. I don't really have too many crazy stories, unfortunately, about the restaurant serving industry. I basically show up to work either in the morning or in the afternoon. Morning was like 11 a.m. You would go to work. You would see the staff working there. It was family owned, so there was like babies running around, which I guess was funny. And there was like grandparents and there was moms and their kids working there. It was a typical, I wouldn't say typical, that's kind of racist, like a typical Asian restaurant where you'd see like the whole family working, even the kids, which is kind of funny. You would show up to work in the morning and then you would clean, like mop the floors, get the tables ready, and then whenever the customers would show up, you would just take them to their seat, ask them if they wanted a drink, and that was basically it. There wasn't a lot of crazy stuff, honestly, that really went on all the time. Don't have any super crazy stories. I just have stories of like effing around with my friends, doing stupid stuff like stealing food, like stealing drinks, eating food. This is kind of disgusting. Eating food off the plates of people who didn't finish their food because it was like sushi and it was good ass food and they just left it there. I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat it. So that was kind of gross. Sorry, whoever's watching this. That's kind of, I don't know how standard that is for other restaurants, but we were hungry. I don't think we barely got lunch break. So if there was food that was available to us, we would just eat it. But the one thing that was cool though about that job, at the end of every single shift, we did get a free meal cooked by the people that worked there. So it was pretty fire. It was General Tso's chicken, egg drop soup, rice, or it was like a kung pao chicken or lo mein, and we got like a big portion of that after every single shift. So they took care of us pretty well, but it was definitely kind of shady because they hired people underage like me, and they didn't train me. So I remember my first day of work. This is kind of a crazy story. My first day of work, I walked in and it was just super busy. I think it was the day of a high school graduation. So I walked into work. I had no idea what I was doing. The people that hired me and the people that own the restaurant don't really speak very good English. They speak, I don't know if they're Chinese or Vietnamese. I don't want to like misrace anyone. I don't want to stereotype anyone, but they didn't really speak very good English. So whenever I showed up to work, they just kind of started yelling at me and telling me, go here, go there. And then I started crying in the bathroom because I really didn't know what to do. And it was super busy. I was like, what the hell did I get myself into? And my friend was laughing at me. I remember he was like, oh, I was like, okay, cool. You're the one who wanted me to come here in the first place. So I was basically running around like a headless chicken, bagging to-go orders, trying to serve tables, getting yelled at, sweaty. It was probably one of the most stressful days of my life. I remember on the drive home back, I was like crying. I was like, what am I doing? It was so late. It was like 11 p.m. because we'd close it I think we closed at 10, and then we had to clean up the store, wait for everyone to leave, and then there would be they always have those people that come in the restaurant like 5 minutes before you close, and you have to serve them for like 30 minutes. I remember having my friend, these two girls came in like right before we closed, and he had to serve them. We were laughing at him. We were already eating our post shift meal while he was still serving these two girls. But that was basically my whole summer. Once again, I was in a relationship. That was cool. At the time, it was 4 years ago. So at the time, it was good. It was fun. Working was not very fun, but I did get. Servers make a lot of money, people. I'm pretty sure it's pretty well known that servers make a lot of money. I would walk home sometimes with $100 just cash. But yeah, that was basically my illegal Asian cuisine restaurant job. And after this summer is where things kind of get pretty deep and personal. Nothing bad, but just stuff I never talk about really anymore. So this was after that summer with that serving job was the start of my senior year of high school. I was 17 going into my senior year of high school, about to turn 18. My birthday's in September, so I'm one of the older ones in my class. And I like to refer to this as like the best year of my life. I don't really like to talk about this that much because everything this year was just kind of perfect to me. And I don't really want to talk about it now because it's never good to be stuck in the past, especially over times in your life. I'm not crying. There's just like a web in my room. It's like right here. Sorry. I promise I'm not crying. I don't know. I might cry this episode. We'll see. I don't like talk about this once again because of how incredible everything was. It was basically I would say it was a perfect year. And I was still in my relationship from the summer. I was incredibly happy at the time. I got to hang out with my closest friends on a day-to-day basis. We were in person now because COVID was almost 2 years in the past, a year and a half in the past, and it was basically just forgotten by everyone at the time. We were at school again. Everyone was having a great time. Everything just felt back to normal. Everyone felt close. Everyone was friends. I was the editor in chief of my school yearbook program. I was the president of the school anime club. I was a water polo team captain. I was on the varsity swim team. Overall, it was just perfect for me. I had like basically everything going on. There's nothing more I could have wished for my position at the time. I turned 18 in September, which was cool. I was one of the first adults in my class, so it felt funny walking around. I was 18, but I couldn't really, like, I was like, the only thing you can do when you're 18 basically is, I guess, like watch porn and make porn. You can't like buy alcohol or buy cigarettes. I don't smoke or drink really, but I just, 18. I guess you can watch movies by yourself. I don't know if that's 18 plus or 17 and up. I don't know. When you turn 18, like, what can you really do? I guess you're an adult, which is kind of cool depending on what you think is cool. Being 18 felt weird because I was still in high school, yet I was around like 14, 15-year-olds, so I felt kind of weird walking around, but I honestly didn't really feel that different. It's just, I woke up one day and I was an adult, so that was kind of it. And this podcast was basically I don't even think I thought about it for the past 2 years. I never even touched this account for the longest time, especially when I was in my senior year of high school. This podcast, I thought, was basically just a little side project, and I didn't really think much of it at all. It was just in the back of my mind. I never really thought about it. It came up in my mind once in a while. I was like, oh, like what could have been with that podcast, and I wonder how far I could have taken it. But that was basically where the podcast was at that time in my life. That was in 2022. Yeah, once again, my senior year of high school was basically perfect. I kind of explained basically how it was. Every day was basically go to school, talk to my friends, have fun, go hang out after, go to football games, swim practice. It was just just a great year. I didn't really have any responsibilities. One thing that kind of started to creep up on me towards the middle-ish, endish was people around me were talking about how excited they were to move on and go to college. And I knew I was going to community college right after high school, so I didn't really have to worry about it that much. But it got to a point where people would bring up how excited they were to go to college on a pretty normal basis. And I wouldn't say it kind of got to me a little bit, but college was something I never really had a good outlook on. I mean, I knew I wanted to go to college. I wasn't going to drop out or anything, but it wasn't something I was really looking forward to or excited for. Kind of just like high school, I just wanted to cruise by. I was never looking to get straight A's. I was a good student. I got A's, B's, and C's. Never failed a class or anything. I was just there to cruise through and have a good time and make the most memories I could. I couldn't really care less about university at the time when I was in high school. I don't really party. I don't drink. And I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after high school. So I basically blocked that thought out of my mind. I almost never thought about what I was going to do after high school. I never thought about college or anything like that. Which was good and bad. I'll explain that later. But basically the whole year I just made the most out of every single day. I would try to do as much stuff as possible in every single day and live life to the fullest every single day and try to implement myself into as many clubs, activities, after school stuff, yearbook stuff, basically anything that would make the year more fun for me, I did, which is, I recommend anyone watching this, if you're in high school or even in college at the time. I'm in college right now. I'm 20 years old right now, which is kind of crazy. Like I said, it's been 4 years. So my one piece of advice, a motto that I live by, is from a Cemetery song. I don't know where he got it from. It's there's no tomorrow, so don't be sad today. And it might sound pretty generic, but if you think about it, there's really no tomorrow. So there's no point in being sad today? It sounds really corny, but it's a motto I live by. Sometimes I'll be in my room and then, we might not be here tomorrow. We might not be alive tomorrow. There might not be a world tomorrow. Something horrible happen tomorrow, but you don't know because it doesn't exist. So make the most out of every day you're living, day by day. Just take it day by day. Don't think too far in the future, which is something that I saw a lot of people do in high school. They thought about 20, 30 years in the future and they're stressing themselves out. And, you have to take it day by day. You're going to be fine. Just take it day by day. So that was basically my senior year of high school. It went by fine. No crazy events happened. Like I said, I had a good time. I'm going to talk about why it was a bad thing to have such a good senior year of high school. It's like a meme for people to say they peaked in high school, and honestly, that's kind of what happened to me. Unfortunately, I don't like to admit it, but it honestly did. Like after I graduated, I went back to high school a couple times as a college freshman, which I never do. It's a really stupid idea. You might think it's funny. Look, like nobody is gonna remember you, or gonna be like, oh my gosh, she's back. Like nobody really gives a shit, to be honest. So it's hard to move on from one of the best years of your life. Take it from me. After my senior year of high school, I wouldn't say I had one of the worst years of my life, but I will say it was one of the most unpleasant. In the span of one summer after I graduated high school, basically everyone moved on and did their own thing, which is awesome. That's definitely not a bad thing, but it is kind of sad. You grew up with these people in middle school, elementary school, and high school, and then just like that, in like the span of 2 months, they're gone, and they basically forget who you are. They don't talk to you. They don't reach out to you, which is the reality. And people say that you don't have the same friends forever, which you don't. That's perfectly fine. So after my senior year of high school, I went to community college. Sorry, I'm like blanking out. This period of my life was really, really slow, really boring, and really uneventful. Community college is fine. I basically go to school in the morning, just drive there. It's like 25 minutes away. You go to class. My classes maybe had like 10 to 15 people, and then you would just go home and do whatever you wanted. So it was a complete like 180, I don't know, like what's the full thing, like a complete 180 of what it was in high school. In high school, you go to school in the morning, you would spend the whole day there, come back home, hang out with your friends, go to football games or whatever. Community college, a day in the life for me was I would wake up at around like 8 or 9, which in college, there's like a anomaly where it's so easy to get up at 5 in the morning for high school swimming. Because I swim in high school once again, so I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning every single day. But even if you're not swimming, you would wake up normally around like 6:30, 7 o'clock to catch the bus to high school or just drive to school. But in college, it's like nobody can wake up on time. Like I had a 9 a.m. class, and I miss that so many times because it's so early. Even now, I have like a 10 a.m. class, and I always miss it because it's so early. But I'd wake up at around 9 for community college, get to school around like 10, take my class, my 1 or 2 classes a day. They would last like an hour, and then you would go home and do whatever you wanted. So it's definitely harder to meet new people in community college because most people are there. You have like 3 groups of people that go to community college. You have people like me who didn't really, I wouldn't say I didn't want to go to university, but would rather much go to community college because it's cheaper. It's easier to go. It's easier. It's cheaper, easier, and it's just less of a hassle. And it's better financially to go to community college. The people that don't want to go to college, like the burnouts that just, which it's perfectly okay. Shout out burnouts and people who don't like school. It's perfectly fine. I'm not judging anybody. People who go to community college, you show up and they just don't really do anything and just sit in the back of class and just fail. The people that are a bit on the older side, they either went to the military or they just didn't decide to go to college after high school, and they have a family or they just don't really have time to go to university, and then they go to community college with you. So my classes, I remember in my art class, I had like an art history class my freshman year of community college. there was like the 70 or 80-year-old dude who said he wanted to finally get his college degree, which is honestly really, really awesome. Shout out to him. I forgot his name. He was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which is pretty fun. Um, he had like a really cool accent. Yeah, he was like really old. He had a cane. So that was pretty memorable. I don't really have too many don't really have too many crazy stories about my freshman year at community college. There was like two people that I knew. I took like art history, some like blow off classes that I needed for my associate's degree. Yeah, I would show up to school in the morning, take a class or two, go home, and then I got a job at Torchy's Tacos my freshman year of community college. And that was a very interesting experience. I would say it was probably my favorite job I've had, but it's also probably one of the hardest jobs I've had. This is my third job at the time. I was on the queso station, so I think Torchy's Tacos is like a Texas thing. It was started in Austin, I think, but I live here near Houston, just up north of Houston. I would go to work, and my job basically was to make the queso, and it was always busy at my location, so I would have to make queso like nonstop. At first, I really hated it because once again, I didn't know anybody. I was a complete stranger at the job, and I didn't know anybody. And whenever you don't know anybody in this situation, your best bet is just to try to make friends. I met so many friends at my at this Torchy's job that I still talk to this day, and I'll talk about that more later because once again, I have like 4 years of my life that I need to talk about, and I can't go into detail on everything. But my Torchy's job, I was there for about a semester, so that's about like 2 to 3 months, and it was a really good experience. I grew a lot during those couple months. I met a lot of awesome people. It was just a really good growing experience. I have a lot more crazy stories about that job, but at the top of my head, I really can't think of any at the time at the moment. A lot of stories of people. One of my friends getting jumped like right outside the store. People walking. My first day of work. I don't know. I'm like rambling on. I haven't done one of these in so long, and it's like midnight. My very first day of work at Torchy's, 2 people quit. So I walk into work, and then it's just like chaos. It's hectic. People are yelling at each other. 2 people walk out, and I have to step in and try to basically learn on my own. And from that day on, I don't think any shift has been as hard as that one. Anyone who works in the restaurant industry knows how difficult things can be, especially on when it comes to rushes, how awful it can be. But I would say my coworkers there was a couple that I really hated. You're gonna have coworkers that you just don't like in general. They're kind of assholes. But I met some really, really good friends that I still have to this day, and they're probably gonna be friends that I consider lifelong friends. What else happened? I'll say my fondest memories about that job were just late night talks after midnight shifts. We would open at like 9 o'clock and we would close on Saturdays. We would close at 11. So whenever I would work the night shifts, we had breaks. We had 30-minute breaks at that job. So one person would go next door we had a gas station around our area. So we would go to the gas station, pick up something like Monsters and Red Bulls and some energy drinks, and we'd bring them back. And then at like 10:30, we would just start drinking the energy drinks. And we would stay on like the premise, like the restaurant, until like 2, 3 a.m. We would just talk about life and talk about our future. And it was a really, really good. I think very fondly of that experience. The job itself was pretty ass. Sometimes it was always busy. I was always sweating out. Everyone was always talking about how they're going to quit any moment. But I'm really glad I didn't walk out any of those days, because I know I sound like a broken record, but if you haven't had one of those part-time jobs where like you're getting paid near minimum wage with people that are in the same kind of situation you are, it's an experience that you have to kind of experience. It's an experience you have to experience, or else you won't get the full effect of it. I know if anyone's watching this that's had one of those jobs knows what I'm talking about. But that was kind of it about that Torchy's job. I can't really think of anything on top of my head, and once again about any cool experiences. I would say my best experiences, once again, were just talking with my friends, goofing off, getting through those shifts. I worked on Halloween. I dressed up as a salt shaker, which was kind of stupid. Well, like I said, I was only there for about 2 months, and I can't really pickpocket every single little memory. But it was just goofing off the usual part-time job kind of things. We're gonna get into some deep stuff right now. So, between that and community college, I wouldn't say I was in a rough spot in my life, but I was in a spot where I was pretty lonely a lot of the time. My relationship was falling apart, unfortunately. My girlfriend at the time was at a university about an hour and a half away, and I think at the time, I could feel it. Kind of, I didn't want to say anything at the time, but you can kind of feel when a relationship isn't what it used to be, and it ended pretty badly. A lot of back and forth, blaming, yelling, gaslighting on both of our parts. I'm no saint by any means. I've definitely said some things I shouldn't have. I regret some of the things I've said. Of course, I was pretty immature at the time, and yeah, I mean, it's something I definitely want to learn from, and I don't want to say those things. It wasn't anything bad. Like, I didn't like insult, but I definitely said some like things I thought were funny, but might have been pretty stupid and immature at the time. And that ended in January of 2023. Yeah, 2023. I think my time perception is pretty bad when it comes to just in general. But yeah, that ended. I was single, and I was working at a part-time job near minimum wage and going to community college. So those three things were kind of eating at my insides, and I wasn't very happy, obviously. So I don't know. You guys can kind of see where I'm coming from, where you have like the best year of your life, and then you have all this shit going on the very next year on the same exact time, and it's just it's an eye-opening experience, but I wouldn't say it was bad. Everyone's gonna have these kind of experiences in their life. It's part of life. You're always, you're gonna go through breakups. You're gonna have these jobs that you're not really a big fan of. You're gonna meet new people. Life's gonna go on, and you want to take it day by day. So after my second year of community college ended, while I was at Torchy's, I quit Torchy's once that summer started, looking for a new job. And I kind of hit my stride this summer. Not this summer, but the summer after my first year of community college. So I was 19 at the time. So this is about 3 years later, coming up pretty close to now. I kind of hit my stride a little bit. I started competing in amateur bodybuilding, which all failed athletes do at one point. I don't really do it anymore now because it's kind of unhealthy. It's an unhealthy lifestyle. Bodybuilding is not a healthy sport. It's not a safe sport because people abuse steroids all the time. I'm pretty sure that's pretty well known to everybody. And now I'm more focused on a more healthy living, balanced lifestyle, implementing cardio and just eating good food. So when I was bodybuilding, I went on an extreme lean bulk for about a year. I was 160. I might put some pictures, or if you guys want, just put in the comments. If nobody comments this, I'll probably forget about this. But I was 160 when I first started, and then when I competed, I was about 195 to 200 pounds. So that was like a 40-pound gain. It was definitely not all muscle. It was definitely a lot of fat too. But it was fun. It was a good experience. I met a lot of cool people there too. Bodybuilding was a really, really fun thing to do. I did it just because it was for fun. I wasn't going to win for sure. I was 19 at the time. I was competing in the teen division, and there was 6 of us, I think. These 2 dudes were completely jacked. They say they're natural. I kind of doubt them a little bit, but they're really, really nice, so I really don't care. They look amazing anyway. They have incredible physiques. Caleb Lammers, CD Lamb on Instagram, and Big Larmy, his name is like Alarm something. Search up like CD Lammers on Instagram, c.d.lammers or Caleb Lammers on Instagram. He has an insanely shredded physique, and he's only a teenager too, so he said he wants to be a IFBB Pro natural, which I'm pretty sure he'll do eventually because he's actually insane. But I didn't look bad. Compared to them, I looked really, really fat and fluffy and stupid. But it was fun. This is a funny story. I wanted to tell this story eventually to everybody publicly, and I'm glad I get to do it now. So basically, the way a bodybuilding show works is that about 2 days before the show starts, you do check-ins, you do weigh-ins, so you can see what kind of like weight class you're going to be in. I was around 190, but there was only like five teenagers competing at the time, so it really wasn't that big of a deal how much I weighed. There was this one guy though who was super skinny, but he was only 16. I felt kind of bad because everyone was laughing at him, but shout out him for the dedication. So you show up to the competition venue about 2 days before to check in, get your badge number, I guess, the thing you put on your little Speedo thing, and then you kind of get the whole schedule. You get your free bag with energy drinks and clothes and merch. It was really fun. And then the next day, or 2 days later, you wake up around 6 in the morning, and bodybuilding shows take forever because there's prejudging and then there's finals. So prejudging is in the morning where you show up and then you do a set, you do set poses that they have for you. So I was doing classic physique. So there was like front double bicep, back double bicep, the usual. And then you go back at night and then you do your solo routine. So I did my morning routine with the dude. I got completely mogged, which was fine because I really didn't care if I did good or not. And then in the afternoon, which was around like 5 hours later, it was super, super hot outside too. So it was rough. I saw some cool people. I saw Jesse James West. Shout out Jesse James West. I didn't say hi to him because I was scared. I saw Baj, large Baj. And then I saw Adrian Guzman too, which is pretty epic. So I showed up to my final routine. I practiced my final routine a pretty good amount of times. I got a pretty set routine. I had the song picked. It was Lovers Rock by TV Girl, which is such an indie song. Oh my gosh, so indie and different. Sorry, I burped. So I walk up on stage for my final routine. I see everyone go before me and they're doing awesome, and then I look fat in my Speedo. So I walk out in front of this big stage of people. There's so many people in the big. It's like a theater. So I walk on stage, and then they play the wrong song. So I'm standing there looking like an idiot. I have pictures of this. I have a video too. It's super hilarious. If you guys want, I'll make like some sort of separate video with animation in this. But I walk on stage and they play this completely wrong song, and everyone's laughing at me. And so I'm standing there, like looking around like an idiot in my Speedos and I just look dumb. And then the guy off stage, he's like, pose, go perform, go. And so I do my routine. I'm like the crowd favorite, which is hilarious. Everyone's cheering me on. And it was a pretty embarrassing moment, but it was also really funny. Like, out of all things that happens to me, of course, I play the wrong song on my first show, and then everyone's laughing at me. And then I end up doing my routine. Everyone's cheering, going crazy. I'm like the crowd favorite. And then I go off the stage, and everyone's like high-fiving me and stuff. And the next guy goes on, the really skinny 16-year-old dude, and they play the wrong song for him too. And after that, I was like, you know what? This isn't really my thing. It's fun, but it's also a lot of hard work and dedication. So all the bodybuilders out there, I salute you guys for doing what you're doing. And also that summer, I had a job at Michael's, which is like a craft store. It was really, 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 really easy, really, really chill. Customers were kind of annoying, but really not much from that. I was only there for maybe a month or two. I walked around, stocked shelves. I met some cool people, but I already knew them from high school, and then that was basically it. And around this summer too, we're getting pretty recent here, this is the return of Vincents Lane. Oh my gosh. I'm so tired. So around this time, I was basically at a standstill. I was like, what do I do? This was a pretty good summer. I also got, I'm completely, I'm tired. I really don't know what I'm saying. I'm just rambling. There's a lot of stuff I left out this summer too. I had a job at Michael's, and I also had a job as a swim coach for my local swim team when I was little. It was for like 3 weeks. It wasn't really that long. It was like 3-4 weeks, maybe a month. Not really much. I was just a swim coach, coaching little kids, coaching kids my age swimming. It really wasn't a big deal. But that summer too, I had a thought of going back to Vincents Lane. This is the first time I seriously considered going back to this channel after such a long time. And I was like, what do I make it? Like, what am I gonna? I know I don't want to just make this a podcast channel. I want to make it something more. And I decided to make it like a music channel, a podcast channel, and like a multimedia channel. So I want to do music videos on one channel, and then podcasts on this channel, and then do interviews, and then music videos, and just like a multimedia channel. So my big breakthrough it was almost a year ago too. I'm being such a lazy ass because I haven't done stuff in a year, and I'll explain why once again. So this is in the year 2023. I been following this collective called Tough Love, and there's this dude named Baymac there. Shout out Baymac. He really gave me one of my biggest breakthroughs of this channel yet. He was having Baymac is like this hyper pop artist from New York, I think. And he started this collective called Tough Love with some other awesome people. So he was having this concert here in Houston with Acid Soulja and 10K and Love Unity and Barely Human. Shout out all them. So I basically DM'd him and I was like, "Yo, like, can I come be a videographer for the Tough Love concert in Houston?" And he DM'd me. He was like, "Pull up. I'll get you in for free." And so I was like, "Oh, hell yeah!" So I drive to the venue. It's like the smoke shop. It's like the smoke shop and hookah room and daiquiri bar room. It's just this room, but also has like a stage. It's a small venue kind of thing. So I show up, meet Baymac, meet the Tough Love gang, Tough Love crew. And, this was a crazy night. It was long. Don't get me wrong. It was a super long night. It was like 4 hours until like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I left early because it was just taking forever. So I do like a video recap. It's on my channel right now. It's not very good. I just recorded basically everything I could and just put it all into this one big video with really pretty shitty editing and just a lot of music. But it's kind of gave me my first taste of what I wanted to do with this channel more. I want to go places. I want to go to concerts, interview people, record stuff, do music videos, photograph, be a videographer. I want to basically do everything in this channel. I want to make something with it. I don't want it to just sit here and just do nothing, because I was talking to one of my friends from Torchies. His name is, I don't want to, actually, I'll wait for another day to explain that. He basically told me that, I have the connections, I have the drive, I have the channel here. Like, if I don't do anything with it, then I'm going to spend the rest of my life wondering what could have been in this channel, or what this channel could have been instead of what it will be. So that kind of gave me the motivation to make this video today. Explaining basically the last 4 years of my life, and that really gave me a taste of what it felt like to do something. Yeah, shout out Baymac, shout out Tough Love. They really gave me a really good opportunity with that little concert videographer kind of thing. So there also might be a possible Baymac interview in the future. I DM'd him. I said we could link up whenever he has he has a headlining tour, and he's coming to Houston in about a month or two. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out Baymac. And now we made it to current day Vincent Garza, current day Vincents Lane. Yeah, 45 minutes, not bad for explaining 4 years of my life. It's like 10 minutes per year ish. So I just transferred to Sam Houston State University, SHSU. Go Bearcats. I was pretty excited. I was pretty neutral to it. Once again, I wasn't a huge college dude. I wasn't really super looking forward to it, but I was also really interested and pretty curious to see what college would be like for me. So, I just kind of wanted to cruise through it, enjoy it, and make the most memories. I didn't want to be too bummed out about where my life was at the moment, and I wasn't really in connection with most people. I was in high school. Like, I don't really talk to Tristan really that much anymore. Shout out Tristan, though. He's cool. He's doing his own little thing, but a lot of people I was friends with maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't really talk to that much anymore, unfortunately, but that's just the way it is. That's the way life goes. I definitely still keep in contact with a lot of people, most people from back then, but I don't talk to them basically on a normal basis. And the people that I talk to now are new friends from like college and work. So all those bad moments, rough moments, I did get something good out of them. So I will say that. But college is fun. Transferred to college this past spring, about 3 months ago. The first 2, 3 days I moved into my apartment. I got pretty homesick, even though I'm only like an hour away, not even. Um, I didn't really know anybody. It's a complete new environment, and it's a really small town, Huntsville. It's in Huntsville, Texas. Also, the movie Dazed and Confused. Yeah, the movie Dazed and Confused. It was based on Huntsville because the dude Richard Linklater was born there, I think, or is a Huntsville native. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's not really much to do there. Most of my college time was spent with my two close friends that I met like the first 2 days of school when I was homesick. I went to this little event in the school ballroom, and I met them there. There was like a Guitar Hero contest going on, and I just met them there. And yeah, we basically just cruise around, go to Goodwill, go to any school events that are going on. We go to some parties. I'm not really a big party dude, so if there's like a party, I'll go, but I don't drink. I just kind of sit there, vibe around, people watch. That's kind of it. But yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with my life for the past 4 years. Hopefully that wasn't too bad. I want to talk about more about college, but really nothing really happened. There's not really many groups over there. It's a really small school. It's incredibly small, actually. My community college might have been bigger than that. It was kind of underwhelming, to be honest. A lot of time was spent in my room sitting there sleeping, which is really not good for you at all. But it honestly really did pick up the last couple of weeks because I kind of found my group, found my stride, and like found a purpose over there. And I'm really excited for this next semester coming up because I want to do a lot more stuff. This past semester, I was like really hesitant on doing a lot of stuff. There wasn't a lot of clubs. There wasn't really a lot of things that fit into my liking. There wasn't There wasn't a swim team. There wasn't a movie club. There wasn't like a student radio, any kind of stuff like that. I don't really like a lot of my teachers there. My classes weren't really that fun. Talking about it now, it sounds pretty shit, but it really got better at the end. There was a lot of good memories, like going to parties with my close friends, and staying up until 2, 3 in the morning, and then throwing a little house party at the last day of school, and then half the people not showing up and flaking, and then having the real ones showing up instead of the people that I invited. I invited like 50 people. I think only like 10 people showed up, so that's kind of that's unfortunate and kind of degrading, but it was fun. My roommates were cool. I have 3 roommates, and they're super awesome. They're all moving out next semester, which is unfortunate. But yeah, my college experience consisted of sleeping in my room, going to random places around town. That's basically it, man. Not really much going on. If there's more, I'll definitely explain it more in some other episodes, but I want to make this episode an hour long. You think we can do it? We have 10 minutes to explain what I want to do with the future. Actually, I want to go ahead and call one of my friends. I don't know if it'll work on here. Can I invite one of my friends on this podcast? Is he awake? Somebody just texted me. Okay, so thank you. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. College was okay, or it's been okay. So what are my plans for the future? So I definitely want to do more of this. I'm studying journalism in school and mass communications with a focus on multi-platform journalism. So this kind of fits into what I want to do. I don't expect this video to do good at all. I expect this to get almost no views because it's just me. I'm recording on a really shitty webcam in my room with like nobody. And my acne looks horrible. That's crazy. I'm logging though. At this point I would do a Q&A with questions, but I don't have any viewers. Please ask questions in the comments below. I think I'm going to end it here, to be honest. My future, I don't want to think too far in the future because it doesn't exist yet. I want to definitely do more with this, make the most out of every day instead of just sleeping. Because right now it is the summer of 2024. It is June 9th. And I haven't really done much really of anything this summer. So this is kind of where this came from. And I wanted to just make the most out of this one. I know it's abrupt. I know it's a pretty boring episode towards the end, but I'm just want to end it there. I want to thank you all so much for watching. This has been it's been a pretty important episode for me as a person to kind of get this off my chest. I've never told this basically to anybody, and I basically am trauma dumping all of you. At this moment in my life right now, I am single, jobless, living with my parents at 20 years old, and I'm basically doing nothing with my life at the moment. That's why I kind of want to do this. I'm looking for a job right now. But yeah, I know I sound pretty depressed, but it's only 12 in the morning. I'm pretty happy right now with how things are going on. Like I said, I'm only 20. I act like I'm 30, but I'm not even 21 yet, so I don't really have much to worry about. One of my friends told me, like, "Damn, you're so fucking young." What I would do to be 20 again. So I'm not really stressing too much about it. I'm only 20 years old and I'm totally doomed. I'm only 20 years old and I'm totally doomed. If you guys like Greg Araki, that's a Nowhere reference. Although to all my cinephiles out there, I've also been getting pretty big into movies at the moment. I'm writing my first screenplay. It's called Enjoy the Sunset. I don't want to give that much away or give too much of that away. It's about these. Fuck it, I'm gonna give away. Whoever's watching this, it's about these four teens. This movie is supposed to symbolize the it's kind of a twist on a coming of age. What happened to my camera? What? Hold on. Sorry. My camera's acting really weird. Well, now I look orange. That kind of sucks. It's kind of a twist on a coming of age movie where instead of like these like teens or something, why do I look orange, dude? This was kind of a grim twist on a coming of age. It's these four teens. Oh, fuck, what am I saying? So stupid. It's these. It's supposed to symbolize the moving on, or the moving on from like a high school like fun, everything's gonna be okay, to like a reality or like a loss of innocence kind of thing where you move on to the real life, and then it's not all fun and games. It's kind of more grim and dark, and it's more real. So it's about these four teens. I've said this like 10 times, and they're friends in high school. There's this couple, a boy and a girl, and then there's these two other friends. The main character's a boy, and then there's another friend that's a girl. So it's like a group of two boys and two girls. They're just a friend group, and it's their last day of school, the first day of summer. They all wake up bright and early to have like the most fun summer jam-packed day ever. It sounds corny, but I'm just trying to make it sound fun. They're trying to make the most out of basically their first day of summer before they all move on to different high schools. Because the main character is like, oh my gosh, like once we all go to college, we're gonna forget each other, which sometimes happens a lot. So these four friends try to make the most out of their first day of summer before they all go to college, and they do. They partake in some tomfoolery. They do graffiti on some public land. They get chased by cops. They go to this house party. They go skinny dipping. And then at the so-called house party, some drama happens between the friend group, and then a downward spiral ensues where they're not going to be the same by sunset. Ooh, what is going to happen to them? I don't know. Tune in to find out. I don't think I can drag this on for another 6 minutes. So once again, I want to thank you all for watching. This has been Vincent from the Vincents Lane Podcast. And I want to thank you all so much for watching. Once again, I can't thank you all enough. I know it's a pretty bad episode, pretty rough scripting, pretty rough editing, but I really enjoyed talking to you all. I really need to do this to myself. I really needed to do this because if I didn't do this, I would be sleeping or on my phone or doing some bullshit. But I needed to just like get off my ass and do something. I'm on my ass right now, which is funny, but I needed to do something. Yeah, I want to thank you all for watching, and that's all. Thank you.